AM and streaming on the World Wide Web across the board on the Occupy Democrats network on both their monstrous Facebook page as well as the YouTube page, also on the PTL YouTube page as well, too, as Brian Shapiro out today. He's sick. But never fear, folks, because your resident left-winger / Democrat / veteran / Gen Xer is here live in studio. Chris Wynn filling in for Brian Shapiro on this Wednesday. A lot to get to, a lot to talk about. Of course, we are smack dab on the backside of January as we wind into 2024 and what is going to be an extraordinary next handful of months when it comes to our political landscape in this country. Your thoughts, your takes, your views are absolutely appreciated. At 702-221-7283 is the phone number, as there's so much to talk about on the political spectrum and beyond. And what's great about a day like today, Justin, Chuck, and others out there, PTL Nation and beyond, and on the Occupy Democrats Network, is there has been a collision of the political world and the sports world. What am I talking about? Well, those of you that don't know my background, I'm someone who's been a radio host in this town for over a decade, both in the sports media landscape as well as working in talk radio here in town, where I've talked politics, talked current events, talked about entertainment, and beyond on 2 different stations in this town. Worked in the sports media for a long time, folks. Also worked in the service industry here in Las Vegas, Nevada, as well as in Massachusetts. And going back to 1989, when I was in high school, working the counter at the local Friendlies after high school. So I have a wide range of viewpoints and experience to draw from. But getting back to what we're talking about here as far as the collision of sports and politics. So Brian did the show yesterday, and he's feeling a little bit under the weather, but he'll be back tomorrow. So, but he did have a chance to interview John Lee, the former mayor, a man who grew up a Republican, then turned Democrat, then turned back to Republican in 2021. And I'll have some thoughts throughout the show regarding that interview because I do have some comments and some takes with respect to Brian's chat with John Lee yesterday. But Brian did touch on what I'm about to address when talking about the I'll call it the Super Bowl duper right-wing conspiracy theory when it comes to the presidential election of 2024. That's what I'll describe it as, all right? A lot of you out there will know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and the conspiracy out there that surrounds the relationship and the combination of their relationship with the NFL and the Super Bowl appearance that's about to take place in Las Vegas in the matter of a couple of weeks. The phone number, again, is 702-221-7283. I'll also be monitoring the Occupy Democrats Facebook page because there's constantly a number of people that are chiming in on that. And yes, a lot of you are my people. I'm a left-winger. I'm a Democrat. All right, so that's my perspective. That's where I'll be coming from. You know, I don't know how more clear I can be on that when it comes to my viewpoints. And so I'll be checking out that feed. The feed tends to be pretty hilarious because obviously it's Occupy Democrats, so we have a lot of my people on there constantly, right? It's mostly my people. It's mostly Democrats. And then you'll occasionally get a MAGA person or a Republican, or a Trump supporter chiming in and, maybe tossing something out there, and then they just get hammered by a number of Democrats. So I'll check out that feed without question throughout the show and try to be interactive when it comes to that. It is Pushing the Limits coming your way on a Wednesday. So what am I talking about when I'm talking about the combination of entertainment and politics? Well, there has been this conspiracy theory that's been tossed out there by some very high-profile right-wing media. That's the way I'll describe it. With respect to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and their relationship, right? And the insinuation is that it's a relationship that, by the way, it's a relationship that's been going on for a handful of weeks now, a matter of a few months, basically. And there's been a lot of focus on it in the NFL because Taylor Swift makes a lot of appearances at these games, and Taylor Swift essentially is an icon unto herself. She is a monster force when it comes to the entertainment industry right now, okay? She is the it girl. She is someone who is a pop culture icon along the status, yes, I'll say it, along the status of a Michael Jackson or an Elvis Presley at this point. That's how much of a factor she is in the entertainment industry and in that industry. And as I pointed out, right-wing media is kind of burning red about this whole thing and is really fired up when it comes to this situation. With the Chiefs heading to the Super Bowl now, you've got influential MAGA people out there, and now you've got some, and right-wing individuals. It started circulating this theory, basically that Taylor Swift promoting this, deranged notion that she's part of some sprawling psychological operation plot staged by the NFL and then the Democratic Party to deliver the 2024 presidential election to President Joe Biden, right? And this is something that's kind of been building for a week plus, probably more, all right? Former Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy had his own theory on this. Of course, Vivek has his wild assumptions that he makes. And look, the bad blood on the right for Taylor Swift stems from the 2020 endorsement of President Joe Biden, and the fact also that Travis Kelce, who she's dating, participated in an advertising campaign for the pharmaceutical giant Pfizer, right? Where he did as far as like getting vaccinated and promoting getting vaccinated. And by the way, on a side note on this, I still don't understand why this continues to be a political thing. I don't understand why you right-wingers or you why there's an anti-vax, why there's even a thing about anti-vax in this country. The whole purpose of vaccines is to be beneficial to mankind. That's the entire purpose. All right. Let me backtrack a little bit. It's not the entire purpose. Some of the purpose is for pharmaceutical companies to make money. I'll admit that. But that has nothing to do with politics. That has nothing to do with right-wingers or left-wingers. All right. That has nothing to do with people in this country taking sides when it comes to the vaccine. That's just a business thing, right? So I don't really understand why that's become some sticky issue with Republicans or MAGA, where they think that, oh my gosh, anybody that does a ad for Pfizer or for a company that promotes getting the vaccine is somehow a bad thing. I don't understand that. But getting back to this discussion. So the idea in a nutshell is this conspiracy theory is that, oh yeah, Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they're part of this grand conspiracy that the NFL is fixing games essentially so that the Kansas City Chiefs can win the Super Bowl. So somehow that creates some magnified image for Taylor Swift to go out there and promote Joe Biden. And it's somehow orchestrated in that way. Mind you, it doesn't make any sense on a number of levels. On a sports level, it doesn't make any sense because the Kansas City Chiefs, it's never been a foregone conclusion that the Chiefs were going to be in the Super Bowl. They had to play at home in basically sub-zero weather to beat the Miami Dolphins in the first round of the playoffs. Then they had to go on the road to beat the Buffalo Bills in another blizzard, a post-blizzard or whatever in Buffalo. They had to go there and win that game. Then they were dogs again going down to Baltimore, and they beat the Ravens to get into the Super Bowl. It's kind of improbable that the Chiefs are actually in the Super Bowl at all. All right? So, yeah, they made it. They're a great football team. You could call it a dynasty. They've been to the Super Bowl, 4 out of the last 5 years, so it's not some shock that they're there. It is a surprise, though, here in 2024 that they are in the Super Bowl, given the circumstances I just presented. So, from a sports standpoint, it's almost improbable that they're in the Super Bowl. All right? And it's definitely not a foregone conclusion that they're going to win it. Vegas doesn't think they're going to win it. Vegas has them an underdog in the Super Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers are favored in the game. Okay, so can the Chiefs win? Absolutely, they can win it. But it's not some foregone conclusion that Kansas City is going to be the world champions in football. All right, so that aspect of it is all shot to hell. All right, when it comes to your conspiracy theory, MAGA and right-wingers. All right? It's ridiculous. That's a sports angle of it. From the Taylor Swift angle of it, Taylor Swift has been a Democrat since I can remember, since she's been in, not in the public eye, because she's been in the public eye since the 2010s. But she's been the most vocal. Obviously, everybody remembers her tiff with Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee, where she lives, and what took place back during the Trump administration, the things that she's had to say about the Republican Party, and specifically about Marsha Blackburn. And so, in recent years, I'm talking about the last 5-6 years, yes, it's been clearly evident that Taylor Swift is a Democrat, all right, and is someone that is on the left, and her values and her principles and her ideology is Democratic, all right? Not a mystery, all right? So this isn't something that snuck up on everybody when it comes to this Super Bowl conspiracy, all right? Also, as I just pointed out 5 minutes ago, Taylor Swift is a force in the entertainment industry and by proxy in American culture. She has her own a fan club called the Swifties, who a lot of people in media are afraid of, and maybe they're justified to be afraid because there's millions of those people. And by the way, they're not just Americans; there's people all over the world that are fans of Taylor Swift. But there is this acknowledgement of the Taylor Swift crowd that is influential, right? And that can bury you as a celebrity, or they can. Let me put it this way: they can make things very difficult for you if you're a person that is in the news, if you are a person of note out there, and the Swifties have a beef with you. It can be a problem. Okay, that's the way I'll put it. But my point being is that Taylor Swift is already influential. She's already a big deal. She already carries a lot of weight when it comes to what she has to say. Now, I myself can agree with a lot of you older folks out there. I mean, older meaning like you baby boomers out there who are my parents' age. All right? I'm in my early 50s, so you can get a general idea of what I'm talking about here. I get the whole thing where, people under 40, you're going to have some kind of general disrespect for, or you're not going to hold as much weight as what they say because they're under 40 and you have this age bias. I get that. I get it. But you cannot deny the influence that Taylor Swift has as an entertainer in this country and as somebody who is perceived, and Brian talked about this yesterday, is perceived as a woman she's a good woman, right? And she's someone who is a good person, and I think means well, and I think that she is looking out for the best of mankind. And she's not somebody who's a vindictive or evil person, right? She's a good person. So the idea that somehow she needs the NFL and Roger Goodell and Travis Kelce and her relationship with Travis Kelce to express or to have an influence on all things 2024 presidential election is ridiculous, okay? She's already there. She's already a big-time deal. So that's shot to hell too now. That whole concept of, there needs to be some type of conspiracy, right? Now, the aspect of this with Travis Kelce, it doesn't make any sense to me. Travis Kelce is a known entity, especially among the sports, among athletes, among sportscasters, among sports fans, in the field of sports. People know who Travis Kelce is. He's one of the best tight ends in the game, probably a Hall of Famer, very high-profile guy in sports today in 2024. All right? He has his own following. Is it as big as Taylor Swift? Absolutely not. Okay? He's not that big as Taylor Swift, but he's still somebody that is a person of note. All right? But the idea that, that the combination of him and Taylor Swift is some, force that is just going after MAGA and going after right-wingers, again, ridiculous. I don't know what I don't know what Travis Kelce's personal politics are, to be quite honest with you. I knew he grew up in Ohio. I know that he did an ad for Pfizer, so I suspect he's probably someone that is down with the vaccines, probably got vaccinated, probably has the same views I do when it comes to the vaccine, where I listen to people that are experts and that are scientists and that are public health experts, and I don't listen to know-nothing idiots that are either on the radio, in the media, on the street, or whatever, your local plumber, your local 7-Eleven cashier, your local waiter or bartender who thinks that they're an expert when it comes to the vaccines. I don't listen to them. I listen to experts, all right? So he's probably somewhat along those lines too. But to be quite honest with you, as of right now on this show, I don't know what Travis Kelce's personal politics are. I don't know if he's going to vote for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. And, of course, I'm going on a premise here, folks. Let's do it. We might as well do it. I'm going on a premise that it's going to be Donald Trump against Joe Biden, all right? We can examine and we can talk till the cows come home if you think that Nikki Haley is going to somehow overtake Donald Trump, even with all of the stuff surrounding Donald Trump with respect to his legal issues. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just trying to be realistic, okay? It's going to be Donald Trump against Joe Biden. So that is the baseline that I'm going from here. All right? And so to wrap this up in a bow, obviously this is just, to me, it seems like another distraction and another wild, out of the realm, completely bat-you-know-what crazy conspiracy that right-wingers and MAGA want to toss out there that doesn't have any merit, that doesn't have any real evidence or credible ideas that would make it factually viable when it comes to the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce NFL conspiracy. It's ridiculous, all right? It's buffoonery. Now, your thoughts are appreciated. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. I know I went on a little rant there without question, and I want to jump on the phone lines here and get some perspective on this because Brian did talk about it yesterday at the top of the show when it came to the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift stuff. So I want to get your thoughts as well, too. Gary joins us here now on the phone lines. Gary, we appreciate your phone call. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I know you know me, and I know you, but I didn't know you lived in Massachusetts. I lived in Greenfield for a while.
Yeah, it's Western Mass right there, my friend. Yeah, I went to high school in Western Massachusetts, Gary, and then I went to college after I got out of the Army in 1991. I went to college in Framingham, Massachusetts, at Framingham State College. So I was in Massachusetts for my senior year of high school and then into college and then a year after college. That I was in there. So I've lived So I grew up in Michigan, went to college and high school in Massachusetts, moved down to Florida, and then moved out to Las Vegas in 2003.
That's where your accent. I don't hear the accent.
Yeah,
right.
Because another reason, Gary, is because I lived in Western Massachusetts. I went to high school in Western Massachusetts, which is essentially like Connecticut. So we didn't have basically, you know the deal, Gary. If you're from Massachusetts, if you go west of Worcester on the Mass Turnpike, the accent goes away, right? So that's kind of the dynamic that is Massachusetts. Okay.
I don't want to take up too much time talking about it, but in a way, if I was a young man and I could tell, when I left, it was 3 degrees out. Some of the friendliest, nicest people in the world live there, and I miss it so much in a way, and I'm wasting time. I'm sorry. I get it. Okay. Let me move on here.
So what do you think about this whole thing? What do you think about this whole Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, NFL conspiracy to get Joe Biden into the White House?
I think that's going too far, and I disagree with you. Taylor Swift is a product of modern-day hype and the way they think. She's no Elvis Presley. She's no Michael Jackson. Even though Michael Jackson probably is or was a pedophile and stuff, he knew music. That man put some music out, and to this day, I think one of his albums is still the best-selling album in the country. It's all hype, and I want to mix it up with you a little bit. I'm a little paranoid. I just got off the phone with the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C.
Wait, time out, Gary. You're on the phone with the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. Why would Gary be on the phone with them? What were you doing?
I wanted to leave a derogatory message because I'm angry at Chi-Chi ping pong balls over there. Why doesn't he go to Iran and say, why don't you just cool it a little bit? We need the oil. We don't need a World War III. We have other plans, and you're screwing everything up around here. I wish he would do that. He wanted to be a world leader. Why doesn't he be a real world leader and try to make nice between South Korea and North Korea? Sign a peace treaty of some kind. Keep your damn nuclear weapons. It's too late to go back on that. And we'll ease up on the sanctions and stuff. If you guys would stop shooting rockets all over the place and freaking people out with them, if he wants to be a world leader and they're stealing technology and all this stuff, and it's angering me, and they're messing with cyberspace, cyber attacks and stuff. I don't want to go too far off, but I'm predicting the 49ers win. You know why?
Yeah, well, that was that. I got to admit, Gary, you're kind of all over the place right there. You went from chi to ping pong. Wait, time out. Let me finish talking. So you went from chi to ping pong balls to him being a terrible world leader, and now you top it off with a Super Bowl prediction.
I don't get a chance to talk to you. You're only on once in a while.
I know, yeah, it's true. By the way, and you chimed in yesterday. Gary chimed in, Justin, yesterday, talking about Shapiro. Look, Shapiro is a fine host. I vouch for Shap. He's a fine host, but you made it sound like he's the only one that can take phone calls and the only one that Gary, come on, man. There's others of us that have been on the air that can do exactly the same thing. And
I really wanted
you took a giant dump on us, my friend. Yeah.
No, that was a great interview. That's how it should be done, and that much I cannot knock Brian Shapiro. I can knock Brian Shapiro. I can get on the phone and he'll yell at me and hang up on me.
No, you weren't knocking Brian. You were waxing poetic on Brian.
No, you were knocking,
but you were knocking the rest of us. You're bashing everybody else, saying that we couldn't interview people. But that's fine. It's neither here nor there. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. But hey, Gary, appreciate your phone call. I'm going to chime in on a couple of things that you had to say, and I'm going to.
I'll get back to you. I'll put.
I'm going to dive in a little bit on a couple of the comments that you made. Now, look, President Xi, we don't control President Xi here in the United States. Okay, China is an entity unto itself. It is the other world superpower on the globe right now. All right, as much as I hate to say that, because I obviously as an American and as a Democrat, I have real issues with things over in China and how things are done and the leadership there and what has transpired. So I'm not going to sit here and give any praise to President Xi or China in any way, shape, or form. There's a little bit of you're kind of all over the place, Gary, there. So I don't really want to address too much of what you had to say. With respect to the Super Bowl, we'll talk about that in hour two. We got, by the way, we have a longtime NBA veteran, player, as well as coach Paul McKeskey coming in the 1 o'clock hour. I'm going to talk about a few things. Try to maybe bounce a couple politics issues off of him, but there's some things going on in the NBA and also in college basketball that I want to address with him. And it just doesn't have to do with sports. It has to do with with respect of coaches and some other things as well too. So I'll get into that with him. And we'll also talk about the conference championship games and the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl is here in Vegas, folks. It's here in Vegas. And for the first time ever, you will have the championship game of the NFL here in this town. It's going to be spectacular, okay? We are a little under 2 weeks out from the Super Bowl. And Super Bowl week, which will start essentially on Sunday, is going to be crazy. It's going to be bonkers. You're going to have Radio Row out here. You're going to have all kinds of parties going on. It's going to be a spectacle like no other. It's going to make New Year's Eve seem like child's play when it comes to the big game being here in Vegas between San Francisco and Kansas City. A lot of you that if you follow me here in town on the radio or have seen me on this show, you understand I'm a Detroit Lions fan. I'm still wallowing over that loss on Sunday to the San Francisco 49ers. I don't need to get into details on it because that's not really the topic at hand right now. But very disheartened for myself and my fellow Detroiters and Michiganders who happen to be Lions fans who thought that we were going to be here in Vegas celebrating our team and watching our team playing their first ever Super Bowl. in the history of the franchise. It's not going to take place. Instead, we're going to see two teams that have been here multiple times and who have won it multiple times. So we'll get into a lot of sports in hour number two with Paul McKeskey. On the way back, I'm going to address the situation with Donald Trump. A couple things with Donald Trump. He's the GOP frontrunner right now when it comes to the 2024 election. So, yes, we're going to talk about him, folks, and I want to get your thoughts. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. It's Pushing the Limits, coming away live on a Wednesday, Hump Day radio action with Chris Wynn live in studio with Justin Chuck and all of you PTL Nation out there and on the Occupy Democrats Network. Much more on the way after this. Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? Pushing Limits coming away live on a Wednesday from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, studios of KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and streaming on the World Wide Web. You can find us in the Occupied Democrats Network, both on the monstrous Facebook page as well as the YouTube page, and also the PTL YouTube page as well, too. I'm monitoring comments and some of text messages as well, too. The studio line is 702-221-7283 to chime in with your thoughts as we are on the back end of January, folks. We are about to storm head first towards Super Tuesday and into the next election cycle as the 2024 election heats up, folks. And right now it looks, for all intents and purposes, like it's going to be a Donald Trump against Joe Biden rematch from 2020. What's fascinating to me about this, too, let me just make a general comment. It's kind of unreal for me that you have one person running in the election, in Donald J. Trump, the former president of the United States, who to this day, as of this day, the final day in January, right? Or the second to final day? Or is it the final day in January? Is it 31st? I'm losing track of my days. In 2024, Donald J. Trump still contends that he won the 2020 election. He's still in denial. Still thinks that it was rigged. Still thinks that it was fixed. Yet, the same person, the same guy, is running again in 2024. And what's the rationale there? So it's legit. It's going to be legit in 2024 in your mind? It's going to be a normal, it's going to be a normal election? I'm trying to think along the lines of Donald Trump. It's very difficult to do because I'm actually a normal, rational, logical person that actually accepts reality and understands that the 2020 election was one of the most, if not the most, secure election in American history, where there was fraud, but it was minimal. And by the way, it was kind of comical because a lot of times when there were recounts in states, Joe Biden actually got more votes. But this idea that the 2020 election, according to Donald Trump and the millions of his supporters to this day, still think that he got hosed, that he got screwed in 2020. Yet it's business as usual for 2024. We're just going to keep going about our business and we're going to support Donald Trump. And we think that he's going to win in 2024 because everything's on the up and up. It makes no sense. But hey, what do I know? 702-221-7283 is the phone number. William joins us now on the phone lines. William, we appreciate you spending some time and dialing up, pushing the limits. What do you have to say, my friend? What's going on?
Well, I live in Vegas. I'm originally from California. I love tuning in to listen to the politics of the day.
Yes.
Is generally how the show starts off, right? And Occupy Democrats, I think they do a phenomenal job. But I don't know, man. There's usually like 1,000, 1,500 people on, like, following when Brian's on, and you got like a couple hundred because you're talking about Kelce and football, and you're stuttering like Biden. Like, I don't get it. What's going on, dude?
You secretly love the change of pace. You love the difference of having the lefty C-Win on to chime in with his opinions as opposed to Brian, who's an independent, who leans left on pretty much everything. And Brian, who now, sounds a lot like a Democrat when he talks, right, on the air, and that's fine. But you love it, sir. You love it, William.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yes.
You're talking about this Trump. So you say it was the most secure election.
Absolutely.
Ever. But then 2 seconds later in the next sentence you said, but there was fraud. Like, which is it?
Okay, so well, there can be fraud on a limited level, right? And it can still be a highly secure election. I'm not breaking any news there, William. I'm not saying anything that's outrageous, right? I'm just making it's a very clear and concise
comment. Definitely agree on it. You have broken no new news of any kind since you've been on the radio today. Let's just get that clear. We agree.
Okay,
We agree.
okay,
So,
we can agree to disagree, William. That's
take
fine.
a pill, cut down the stuttering, and stay on point, stay on task. And let's talk politics and the things that we all chime in.
I
and
love it.
listen
It's
in to
beautiful. I love
Not
the
this
constructive
garbage
criticism,
about
William. It's beautiful.
Kelce. I know you're a closet Swiftie, right? I'm sure.
I'm not.
Right? I'm sure you
I
got
gotta
some
say,
pinky
I'm
holes in
not
the
a
closet.
Swiftie at all. I'm not. I mean, I do like some of her songs. I think
You
she's. I started,
certainly
but I'm
sound
not really.
like one.
I'm not really a big Swiftie guy. It's not really my thing. But I do respect her, and I think she's.
Wow.
I think she has talent, right? I'm not on board with what Gary said, where Gary was like, "Yeah, she's not even anywhere in the realm at all of Michael Jackson or Elvis Presley." I think she absolutely is. I think that that's clearly been evident in the past 12, 13
You
years
just put
that she's kind of established
Taylor
that.
Swift in the same sentence and on the same level as Elvis Presley. Did I hear that correctly?
Okay, so I don't necessarily say I'd put it on the exact same level, but she is in the stratosphere. Yes, she is in that realm, okay, of pop icon status.
I have to steal a line from your counterpart, Brian
William,
Shapiro. You're a buffoon.
William
saying
slash
what you
Albert
just said.
slash Jimmy J. I don't know. So let me tell you. Hey, she's absolutely a monstrous pop icon in 2024. Okay, she is huge. She's big. All right, and I'm not saying that as a fan. I'm not saying that as somebody that worships at the altar that is Taylor Swift. I'm just saying that's what it is. That's what she is. So.
Okay. Well, listen. I think you need to spend more time discussing politics because that's really what we're interested in. And
good stuff. I get it.
You know, all I can say is, go Biden 2024, my man. Let's just go.
There it is,
right?
baby. I
Let's
love
get
it. Hey, William, I appreciate the
phone
phone call. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to be doing the rest of the show, and then I'm probably going to be partaking in some Caveman Keno or / 4-card Keno or maybe some Poker
you
Deluxe.
Have a great rest of your
yes.
day. And we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, William. With I like the phone calls. A little constructive criticism, a little banter when it comes to the politics. Hey, here's the deal, man. I say what I say, and I mean what I say, and I stand by it. I have conviction. Okay, I'm someone that actually believes what it is that I say, and I'll back it up. And by the way, I've been on the air many years in this town. Brian Shapiro has been on the air many years in this town. Nobody has ever been able to call into this show and say that myself or Brian Shapiro have flat out lied on the show. You've never been able to come on the show as a caller and be able to point out any situation in which I've lied about anything. You've never been able to do it when Brian's been on the air. And it's been pointed out numerous times on this show. 702-221-7283. So I want to kind of address the interview that took place yesterday because John Lee was here in studio with Brian Shapiro. They talked about a lot of topics, obviously, a lot of pinpoint topics that are going to be very important when it comes to the 2024 election, right? And they talked about John's background with respect to his political background and his approach and what he was able to do as mayor of North Las Vegas, which I agree with a lot of the sentiment surrounding what he was able to do from an economic standpoint in that town, right? As far as able to right the ship when it came to the finances in that city, which were in shambles before he was elected to be mayor. I believe it was in 2012 or 2011, and he did a tremendous job from that aspect. But I obviously, like Brian, I disagreed with a lot of the things he had to say from a political standpoint on issues when it came to gun control, when it came to abortion especially. I thought he was a little bit disingenuous when it came to his viewpoint on abortion because and one of the callers called up and used the phrase poo-pooing. I don't think necessarily John was poo-pooing. And again, I echo the sentiment that Brian expressed and others have expressed. That John Lee, I think he's a really good guy, right? I think he's a good man. I think he's a decent person. I don't know about his personal life as far as if he's married or not or whatever. I do think he's a really nice guy. I just would happen to have differences when it comes to politics with him and political viewpoints. And I also have an issue with this concept. I don't understand this whole idea of switching political parties when you're past 40 years old. All right? Let me elaborate a little bit. And I want to get your thoughts. 702-221-7283. What's the deal with this switching political parties when you're in your 40s and later, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. All right? You do not change your ideology when you're in your 40s. I would even argue in your 30s, but let's, for the sake of argument, let's have the cutoff be 40 years old. You don't change your way of life. You don't change your viewpoints. You don't change your feelings. You don't change your ideas. You don't change your ideologies and your political viewpoints in your 40s and beyond. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. All right? I don't understand how these people are, well, I grew up a Republican and then I switched to Democrats because I had some, anecdotal situation that took place where I decided to switch parties. Because I had a couple things happen to me or whatever, and all of a sudden it just changed my ideas, and now I have to completely switch parties. All right, and then the case of John Lee, right? He goes from being essentially raised a Republican. I don't know if that's even the right way to describe it, but he grew up in a family that were Republicans or whatever, and so he just towed the family line. Then became a Democrat, and then apparently, and looking in and doing a little bit of research when it came to John. Apparently has some issues with the Democratic leadership here in the state of Nevada. So therefore, that contributed to him making the decision back in 2021 that he was going to switch from being a Democrat to a Republican. All right. Meantime, the facts were that he was actually a pro-gun, anti-abortion Democrat, which doesn't make any sense, okay, because it doesn't jive with the ideals and the views and the ideology of Democrats that you're pro-gun. I mean, pro-gun's not the right way to say it because I'm sounding like I'm someone who's anti-gun. I'm not, okay? But for the sake of this discussion, I'll say pro-gun, anti-abortion. I hate people that call it pro-life. You're not pro-life. You're anti-abortion choice, okay? You're anti-people having the choice to get an abortion. And the reason why we call ourselves pro-choice as Democrats, or even if you're not a Democrat and you're pro-choice, the reason we say pro-choice is not because you just have the choice to get an abortion. It's you also have the choice to not get an abortion. All right? That is what choice is. So, again, I don't understand people like John Lee and, yes, Donald J. Trump with this whole switcheroo on your political party thing. It's nonsensical. All right, and look, and I've said this all along on the air with Brian in studio as him being co-hosting with him, and hosting this show myself. Donald Trump is still not a Republican. He's not a Republican. He has an R next to his name, and he ran for president, and he was the president of the United States for 4 years with an R next to his name. But I will say till the cows come home, he is a Democrat at heart. He is someone who, and to be honest with you, he's not really a hardcore political guy. He's not really a political ideology guy. He is I know a guy who knows a guy. I'll scratch my back, you scratch my guy. You know what I mean? He's a transactional individual. He's not really a political guy. But he's been caught up in the last 8 years and again, there are extenuating circumstances in why he's run for president in 2024. It's because he has legal issues that he can get out of if he ends up being president of the United States and he can be immune to, essentially. But it is not a situation where Donald Trump is all in on Republican politics. He's not somebody that is, for his entire life, has been anti-abortion choice. He's not somebody who's been who's going to side with Republicans with respect to gun control or even illegal immigration or foreign policy or the economy. He just isn't. That's not his record. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. Let's jump on the phone lines. And Obi joins us now on Pushing Limits. Obi, we appreciate the phone call. How are you?
How you doing? A couple of points here. I saw the program yesterday on the transmission because I wasn't home to watch it like usual.
Okay.
Yesterday, Brian let the Major Lee get away with not answering one question when he answering, what was the responsibility of Donald Trump on January 6th. He never answered that, really. He never had the guts to say that Donald Trump incited the event of the 6th. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, yes, you're right. There were a couple of cases that I know that were frauds. But guess what? They were Republicans.
Yeah.
There was one in Florida that he voted in Florida and he went to Alabama and he was caught. And there was another one in Pennsylvania that he filled out a ballot for his dead mother. Listen to that.
Yeah.
Two cases that were relevant. Now, the other thing is, all these ruckus about the football and with the Taylor Swift and all this is nothing but fear. You see, they are trying to make it about football, but no, it's their fear that all the people that when Taylor Swift come out and endorse President Biden, which she will if she hasn't, that's the fear. It has nothing to do with football. This is like a disguise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Obi, it's about distraction, right? It's distraction.
Exactly.
Fear. I mean, I guess. I mean, look. When it comes to Republicans and MAGA, and look, I'm not trying to get into people's heads. I guess I'm going to try to here, though. I guess a little bit. I don't necessarily know if fear is necessarily the emotion that they feel. They are just. They're driven to get Donald Trump back into the White House. There is they actually believe that Joe Biden is a detriment to this country and that the country needs to be fixed in some way, shape, or form, and that Donald Trump is the one to do it.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. No chance in hell that Donald Trump is going to get on the White House. And everybody is a little afraid, everybody's a little afraid about Ohio. No. Let me tell you something. You tell me in history, when a sitting president went and joined a picket line of a labor strike. Mm-hmm. I want to know, can you answer that?
What's the question again? What's the question, though?
No. What I'm trying to tell you is that when was the last time that a sitting president joined a labor strike?
Off the top of my head, I do not know the answer to that question.
No, never in history.
Oh, okay.
Never in history. And this is something that we have to, we have to think that way. This is. Listen to me. I get very, very angry when people talk about the age of President Biden. Since the 3 years and change that he's been in office, he has meeting with all the people from every nation, and I want to know which one of them, Chi Chao, whoever, or Zelensky, or people from Sweden or France or anybody, any country, what people has questioned the mental ability of Biden to conduct business.
Yeah, Obi, I appreciate your sentiment, my friend. We got some time constraints. We're going to jump some other calls. We appreciate your phone call. Have a great Wednesday, sir, and I'll address that. So, look, no question about it, right? There are people that want to discuss Joe Biden and his abilities and his aptitude and whether or not he can handle another 4 years as president of the United States. Let me tell you something, all right? As we sit right here today, in late January of 2024, and we're going to start comparing the mental capacities of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I'm going to go with Joe Biden. I'm going with Joe Biden. I am. I just am. We all have seen speeches, moments, opportunities for both of these men where they've had an opportunity to speak, where they've tried to express thoughts. And on occasion, yes, Joe Biden has lost his fastball. There's been times where he's had gaffes, no question about it. But there also has been many times where Donald Trump has done the same thing, okay? And it's been worse, I think, with Donald Trump because there's been times where the guy actually forgot who he's ran against in presidential elections. He thought he ran against Barack Obama in 2016. He did not. He ran against Hillary Clinton. There's been times where he's been saying multiple other cities that he's been speaking in when he's actually in a completely different city that he's in as well, too. And on and on and on. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. JD joins us now here on the phone lines. JD, we appreciate the phone call. How are you?
I'm great. So Obi-Wan Kenobi obviously channeled the Force on that last call and assumes that Donald Trump has no chance of seeing the White House. He is the presumptive winner, front runner. Nobody else is going to be on the ballot on the Republican side but him. So,
well, okay, so I would disagree. So look, to that, as far as
Biden,
well, JD, as far as that goes,
losing his gas. He's been losing his gas at the lectern now, probably for the last 2 years. You're right. You're absolutely correct.
Okay, so yeah, I'll address the situation. Look, I don't agree with him that Donald Trump has no chance to be in the White House in November. I would say that he has a very little chance of being in the White House in November, and there's a number of reasons why I would say that. Okay, so I acknowledge, yes, I acknowledge that. Well, let me, JD, let me finish, JD. So let me finish. I acknowledge that Donald Trump has a chance to win in November. Okay, I'm not an idiot. Okay, I'm not clueless. I understand that in the country we live in, there are millions of supporters that support him. But I also understand the dynamic that is the American electorate in 2024. And I do understand what has transpired over the last 4 years.
You have disdain for all those millions of people who support him.
It's not, well, I don't disdain. I don't have disdain for millions of people. I have disdain for people that I know who I have disdain for, who I think are bad people. It's people that I don't know. I don't just blindly have disdain for them. Yeah. There's a difference. So I don't have disdain for a group of people that I do not know personally. You understand that? I don't have disdain. To be honest with you, when it comes to Donald Trump, I don't like what Donald Trump stands for. I don't necessarily hate him personally, though, because I don't know him. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. So I don't necessarily hate the man.
But you love Biden, who you also have never met.
Again. So no, this is also true for Joe Biden.
Maybe you changed his diaper.
Let me finish, JD. Let me finish. This is also true for Joe Biden. I don't love Joe Biden. You just said that I love him. I don't love him. Okay, I obviously support him because I'm a Democrat, and I think that yes, I think his head is in the right place. I think his heart's in the right place, and so I support him. Okay, I definitely don't love him. I'd say I admire him. I think I respect him as a public servant for 50 plus years. But no, I don't love him. This is another difference. By the way, this is another difference too between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats do not worship politicians like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom or Barack Obama. They don't worship them like MAGA does. Yes, I'll say MAGA. Not all Republicans worship Donald Trump, but MAGA people put him up there like on a pedestal, like he is some kind of religious figure.
Let me clean this up.
Okay,
let's
clean it up.
Go
ahead. Yeah.
So let's say you own, or you're the majority stockholder in a Fortune 1000 company.
Right.
Who are you going to pick as CEO? You're telling me it's going to take Biden over Trump?
100%. 100%. 110%. Okay. Even though there's not 110%.
Find his way from the bathroom to his bedroom.
Yes, but the problem is that Donald Trump is it. Yeah, but you're under the impression that Donald Trump. Wait, time out. You're under. You gotta let me answer. Okay, so I'm actually hosting the show today, so you gotta let me answer. Okay, so Joe Biden, is not some business maven by any stretch of the imagination. But you are under the misconception that Donald Trump is a good businessman. He's not. He's terrible. He's awful as a businessman. Okay, what he is decent at, I will give him, is branding, okay, and portraying himself in a way where he's become kind of a pop. I'm not going to say icon, but he's become a figure of success in America. All right, but it's not because he's an actually legitimate good businessman. It's because he's good at promoting himself. Do you understand what I'm saying or no?
All politicians are good at promoting themselves. That's why they're in politics.
Well, no, but you're talking about the business aspect
all right,
of it.
Let me ask you this. So are you comfortable with Joe Biden being reelected, and let's say he survives 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and then Kamala Harris being president. You okay with that?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. And we appreciate the JD. We appreciate the phone call. Getting some other phone calls. Appreciate the phone call. Yes, absolutely. If Kamala Harris is the vice president, which she probably will be, okay, and yes, there's some catastrophic event where the president of the United States dies, all right, and the vice president has to step in and be the president, yes, I have no problem with that whatsoever. 702-221-7283. I know we're coming to the back end of the hour here. We can keep going. Is it Delaney? Delaney is our next caller here. I'm pushing the limits. Delaney, we appreciate the phone call. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Doing
sorry,
very
what
well.
was your name?
My name is Chris Wynn. I am in for Brian Shapiro today on Pushing the Limits.
Yes, Chris. I think I was having internet problems because your voice wasn't matching the thing on my screen, but I think it's on my end. But anyway,
Okay.
I'm calling from Hawaii, and I just want to say that I like what you said about us not being, like people in general who support Biden
Right.
are not like I don't have a Biden hat. I don't have a Biden shirt. I'm looking at the policies, okay, and everything, else. And then, and this other guy right before me just said about Kamala Harris, they're all trying to use that as a way, but I don't see anything wrong with it. She's just going to follow Biden's policies if something was to happen. And I look at Biden as America's grandpa. So I don't care what these crazy people say. And basically, Trump is a threat. And the Dems are taking him seriously because he could win. He could win.
You know what? You know why we are taking him seriously? Democrats take him seriously because of 2016. Okay, we saw what happened in 2016, right? Where he pulled an inside straight. He was able to win the election because Hillary had some flaws, right? Then Hillary didn't go to certain states and didn't promote herself, and there was a lack of turnout by Democrats. Democrats did not turn out in 2016. That's why Hillary lost. There is this misconception when it comes to is Delaney. We appreciate the phone call. We have to jump around a little bit. Thanks very much for the phone call. There's this misconception about elections. I've talked about this with Brian on the show before. All right, it's not about turning MAGA or Republicans into Biden voters. It's not about turning Biden voters into MAGA voters or Donald Trump voters. It's about getting out your vote. It's about the enthusiasm in the elections, getting your voters to the polls. That's what matters, folks, okay, when it comes to winning elections. That's how Hillary would have won in 2016 if she got people excited enough, got Democrats out in force, and there wasn't this lethargic feeling that Democrats had. And a lot of Democrats, to be honest, let's be honest, Democrats, a lot of us didn't even have to vote or didn't even care to vote because we're like, there's no way Trump can win. Hillary's going to wax his backside. She's going to destroy him. He has no chance. And so Democrats didn't vote. And that's why Trump won in 2000. That's one of the main reasons I think Trump won in 2016. The reason Joe Biden won in 2020 is because, yes, Democrats said, screw this. We Democrats and independents like Brian Shapiro, that lean left, said, no, we don't want another term with Donald Trump. We just don't. We can't deal with the drama. We just don't want it. And so they showed out and showed up, and that's what happened in 2020. And yes, there was mail-in balloting because of the pandemic, and that made it even easier for people to vote, both Republicans and Democrats, easier to vote. And therefore, that's why you had the monstrous numbers. That's why, yes, Joe Biden was able to get 80 million plus votes or whatever he got. And by the way, that's why Donald Trump was able to get 70 million plus votes as well, too. Okay, so that's the deal, all right? Let's jump to Julie real quick to finish off the phone calls here. Julie, thank you for the phone call. How are you?
How are you, Chris? How are you doing today?
I'm very good. I'm getting ready. We're ramping it up. It's January. We're about to go into February. We got probably one of the more remarkable election seasons in the history of the country about to transpire here. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Chris, honestly, when you say that we MAGA supporters are occultists, or we are in a cult, that is not true.
Okay, first of all,
and I'm
hey,
gonna
Julie,
explain
I
why.
didn't say that. I never used that word cult. I do
No,
believe that, by the way,
no,
but I never said that yet on the air. I
but
didn't say that.
No, you didn't say it, but most
Okay.
people have this misconception, right? That we are occultists. First of all, I have seen a lot of Democrats saying that Biden is fit for office. Honestly, I'm a registered nurse. I have said this many times during the show. Psychologically and cognitively, the decline on Biden is sad and deeply alarming. And I have been dealing with patients since 2009 with dementia, hospice. I have done hospice in the late stage of dementia. Biden is not fit for office. That's the definition of cult, to be in a cult. This man has been in office. If we want term limits and we are voting for the same politician since 1969 in office, and he has been changing according to, the narrative, because Biden said so many things in the past against sanctuary city, against the black people, against, in favor of segregation. But you have been justifying him over and over again. But when it comes to Donald Trump, many people have been demonizing him, and that's a fact. And we need to work together, and we need to work together for what is best for our country. And that's my main focus when I call you or call, Brian. And I don't like.
Okay, so you're kind of running on here, Julie. Let me respond, okay? Because
Go
I
ahead.
don't think you have to powder down,
Go
but let me
ahead.
respond, Julie. Okay, you said a lot of things there. All right, you addressed a lot of things. Let me address what you came out of the gate with, talking about the cognitive ability with respect to Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Let me be extremely clear. Okay, there has been no medical professionals whatsoever that have come out and said that Joe Biden is somehow much more cognitively declined than Donald Trump is, okay? There's been no medical professionals anywhere that have come out and said that are credible and that have any type of credibility whatsoever. So that, what you said there is patently false. Then you went on to say that Joe Biden, you don't think, is able to, I can't use your exact words. Essentially, I think you said that he is not fit for office. You said Joe Biden is not fit for office. I would patently disagree with that. I think absolutely Joe Biden is fit for office. When we use that term fit, we're not just talking about cognitive abilities. We're not just talking about that. We're also talking about decency, right? We're talking about the kind of person that individual is. What we believe what we believe they bring to the table from a political standpoint, right? Whether or not they represent the country well. There's a lot of aspects that go into that. Do we think he's fit to be in the office of the presidency of the United States? I think there are numerous things that Donald Trump has said and done that make him unfit for office. The main one being January 6th. The main one being his perspective when it comes to the 2020 election. He, to this day, Julie, does not believe that he lost the 2020 election. To this day, he's still in denial of the election in 2020 and thinks that he got screwed, that he got hosed. And so and because of that, January 6th took place. All right? You can sugarcoat it all you want. You can talk about how you think, well, somebody didn't do this and somebody didn't do that, and Nancy Pelosi this and Nancy Pelosi that. The only reason January 6th took place at all is because Donald Trump was in denial of the 2020 election and thought that he lost unjustly and thought that it was rigged and thought that the American people should take it on their hands to change and to interfere with the certification of the election. Julie, I appreciate the phone call. We have to move on. We have our great guest here live in studio. We got to get to another portion of the show that we're going to transition to without question. It's good stuff to have our friend, one of our favorites, here live in studio. Paul McKeskey is joining us here. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got a lot to talk about with Big Mo. talk some basketball. I want to talk about some leadership issues and some coaching issues. Also, maybe a couple tidbits when it comes to the AFC and NFC championship games and the Super Bowl here in Vegas. I want to get his takes as well, too, because one of his team is there in the game. So, longtime NBA veteran player and coach Paul McKeskey joining us here live in studio on Pushing the Limits. Coming away live here, KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and streaming on the World Wide Web at the Occupied Democrats Network and the PTL YouTube and Facebook pages. Will continue much more after the break. Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just